Absolutely. I mean, you are drinking such cold water all the time, and soda, everybody knows. I mean, it's not something hidden. It's out there, the facts about drinking soda. But I think it's so cheap and it's readily available, and then when you add chemicals, your brain starts. We were talking the other day, my family over here, we were talking about how sugar is worse than cocaine because it's even more addictive.
Welcome everyone to the Yoga Conversations podcast, where we meet yogis, meditation practitioners, and wellness practitioners, deep dive into the yogic myths, and try to make all this knowledge accessible to everyone. So today we are meeting Isha Lall. She is a holistic wellness expert, which basically comprises of movement and meditation therapist, holistic nutritionist, and master Reiki healer. In the past, she had been having a IT background where she had worked as a software quality analyst with MNCs like Accenture, Exchanging, and Make My Trip. But a point came in life when she decided to take a break and decided to do something that made her feel alive. In the year 2012, she attended the Bharat Thakur's Artistic Yoga in Bangalore. And later in Jan 2013, she did a yoga and meditation teacher training course in Varkala, Kerala. And now she is well versed in human anatomy, yogic diet, and from 2018, she has started working in the space of cancer and autoimmune diseases. And now she has been integrating these things with yoga, meditation, and nutritional wellness. So, Isha, welcome.
Thank you, Harish. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction.
I'll just jump right into your journey. How did all this start, and when did you realize that yoga was your true calling?
So, Harish, I think when we say true calling, I think true calling in literal sense would mean that, when you wake up in the morning, you have a sense of purpose. And a lot of us, because of, social stigmas and for the sense of security, we are always stuck in something that is not really satisfying for our lives, or we think, there is a constant financial, strength that we have because we are getting a regular income. But I think for me, after 4 years into IT, which I never wanted to be in, there was a frustration point, I would say, because sitting in front of the computer for hours and hours and, very less human interaction, I think that was not really me. There was something that bothered me a lot. And I realized one day, actually, it was one fine day, I told my parents that, this job is just draining all my energy out. Just a leech hota na, like a leech sucking all your blood. It felt like that. And I would come back home tired, exhausted. And even though I was giving my best, it didn't really work for me. And that point, I realized that this is not for me. That is very sure. I do not want to get into the deep side of technology. It's not very satisfying. It's not very fruitifying for me. But I also realized was I am more of a person who loves human interaction. I'm more of a person who loves outdoors, who loves nature a lot. So I think that triggered something in me. And while growing up, also have been into sports. I have always enjoyed dancing, and I've seen my mom practice yoga, and we were always, summer break was yoga practices for us. So I think that triggered kind of an instinct in me that I want to do something which is structured yet creative. And when I went for my first retreat, I would say, or a journey that I stepped into Bharat Thakur's artistic yoga, I realized that it is really enjoying. And I am loving this part of understanding the human body and how the mechanics of this entire structure works. And eventually I wanted to do a teacher training course so that I can, it was not for the purpose of teaching people, it was more for the purpose of knowing yourself better. Because for me, teacher training was not that I right away want to jump into that mode. It was more like over the years I want to understand how it transforms me as a person. And I think it just changed me, those few months of being in Bangalore and then in Kerala, amongst nature, around the beaches, and doing a sunset meditation, a silent meditation, that invoked a lot of satisfaction in me. And I realized, this is something which is every day when I wake up, I start my day, I feel like, yes, this is something I look forward to. This is giving me a sense of purpose. This is imbuing a lot of strength in me. So I think that was the point. I realized this is the direction I'm going to go in, and this is the path I want to expand my life into. So it happened like that. I think it's the point of taking that risk and not thinking, ki, what if I do this, to ye ho jayega? What if I leave my current job? Or, wo repercussions aapko sochna, I think you need to stop thinking about that when you reach that point. Sometimes taking that risk and realizing your true worth, it's really important. So that was the point.
You had a point where you yourself felt that, okay, that there is something wrong going on. And you had that sense of awareness that, okay, this is something which you like and this is something which you don't like. You made that clear distinction and then you took the next step. Whereas there are many people who are yet stuck in that, should I go for this or no? Even after having a clear realization. What do you think that taking that leap of faith makes them stop? What is that feeling that it doesn't help them take the next step?
So as I'm saying, right, sometimes that sense of security that they have in the current moment, a lot of us are very apprehensive of losing our jobs, because we think ki yaar job chhod denge. So there are things linked to that job, your health insurance, your premiums, your gadi ka premium, so many things are linked. Aapka your home expense is running because of your job. So a lot of people are stuck in that, and dependency, of course. There are people dependent on you for the earnings that you are doing. I think sometimes that is the reason, and for a lot of people, I would not say it's easy for everybody, but I think I have a very simple saying: when there is no passion left in you to do something, you're not giving your 100% anyway. And what you are adding along with that is a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, probably. And you're not, at the end of the day, you're not sleeping well. You're not keeping yourself happy. You're not probably keeping others around you happy as well. So I think, trusting yourself. And first of all, also, when you were saying true calling, I was also thinking that it is not an overnight thing that, okay, this is my true calling. Right away in your dreams, you get it. It is a process. You need to understand what is working well for you, what is your strength, where you feel your passion lies, where you feel you are giving your 100%. It's a journey. And that journey can be either a smaller journey or a longer journey where you figure that out. So there is no rush, and it can be at any point in your life, I would say. So even at 40, 50, 60, you can stop doing what you have been doing for your life, and you can still start something new. So I think just making sure, realizing that, yes, this is it, and just letting go. I think that is one thing which you need, and trusting yourself, of course. I think that stops a lot of people.
So, coming to your current work, you have been working with cancer patients. Now, what is your first step to help patients understand that yoga, pranayama, and meditation will help them? And I'm asking this again because when, let's say, a patient who's been in, let's say, a stage 1 or a stage 2, it's very difficult to convince them that, okay, try these things also.
Yeah.
So how do you approach this?
So, Harish, what I try to do is in the beginning, try to have conversations with them and try to understand their current state of mind rather than jumping right on to, let's do yoga, let's start with meditation, or, pranayama is going to help you in X form or Z form. The only thing that what I've learned over the years is to first have a connect with your patient or first have a connect with your client. And also, if you, because a lot of people are scared or they have a myth around yoga practices or meditation practices. A lot of people think, oh, you need to be really flexible to do yoga. And a lot of people think for meditation, you have to sit in a certain posture, you have to quieten your mind. So because of those notions, I think these barriers, that's what I try to break. And I try to bring the logic into when I try to explain it to my patients. What I try to tell them is, what is pranayama? Pranayama is the flow of energy, the exchange of gases, which is going to help boost your lungs and increase oxygen in your body. And what happens if the oxygen is increased in your body? Your brain is going to get more energy, your body is going to get more energy, the inflammation is going to reduce, the pains in your body will go decrease to a certain level. So when they can relate to such things, which they can actually understand and feel, is when they start to connect with it better. If I tell somebody meditation is a practice wherein you have to sit cross-legged and close your eyes and listen to what I'm saying, people will be like, okay, sorry, not possible. But if we take it in a very mindful approach, okay, after a physical practice or after pranayama, let's just lie down and relax. And our job is not to pay attention to the thoughts, or even if the thoughts come, we just ignore them and let them pass. All we need to do is just, let's just relax and bring our attention to the breath. Probably that's where when they start understanding and connecting, rather than giving them or making them feel that it is going to be a tedious process or it's going to be a very hard process. But I think a lot of cancer patients are also realizing that this approach of healing, along with what they are doing, their therapy, chemotherapy, I think a lot of doctors also advise now help a lot, or meditation will ease the mental stress and help them connect better with their bodies, will make them understand, where the pain and aches in the body are. So I think a lot of input from the doctors these days is also helping them understand. And of course, my approach is always like, don't jump the gun right away. Understand, make it a slower process, but an interesting and engaging one. So that's what I try to do. I speak a lot with my patients. I understand, listen to their stories. So that's when the journey becomes easier for us. And then it doesn't really matter if it's a stage 4 or it's a stage 3. Then it all depends on the discipline that we build together. That, never mind, we are going to take this on, and our willpower is stronger than anything else. So, that's where the psychology bit, I think, comes into play for me, because it's a very interesting fact that a lot of us, 95% of our brains work in an autopilot mode. And that is how we cope up with what's happening around us, what's happening in the external environment, right? But when we instigate that we are not going to be in an autopilot mode, we are going to bring in a change. That's when I would say it's an executive mode, and that executive mode has a stronger willpower, a stronger, they have a discipline, they have patience to deal with themselves and the environment. So, but it's a reminder, it's not easy to set yourself in an executive mode. It's a regular practice. It's a regime that you have to set for yourself. It's a little hard work, I would say, and it's not. It requires discipline. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. So I think, and I've seen with a lot of patients. I have had a patient. She was 72 years old, and she's my oldest patient so far. And I have seen her recover really fast. Just because I had seen, when I saw her for the first time, she was skinny. It felt she had no strength. But within 6 months, I started to see a significant change in her, just because, again, we would talk about things, we would do our practices regularly, but again, we would connect on a different level, we would share stories. And I think that's where the mental strength also starts to bring in the motivation, how you motivate your patients. So, and over a period of 1.5 years, she was completely recovered. And till date, I would say she practices with me. It's amazing how she has recovered completely, but she now believes in the practice so much. She's like, Isha, I do not know, but I want to do the practice thrice a week. Pranayam karte hain thoda sa, let's do a bit of physical or halka fulka strength training exercises. And I mean, now she does it out of fun, because she feels more energized compared to how she started. So no, the perspective changes over a period of time, because now it's happening on you. You are realizing that your body is going through a significant change. So I think, again, it's a matter of time, and really doesn't matter stage 4, stage 3, stage 2. We try to help the patients in changing their outlook towards life. That's the way to approach it.
Right. That's something very significant. The example which you just shared about the 72-year-old woman, it's all about the outlook. And she too might be having that will to live and to see a better future, rather than to be in, let's say, in sadness or in misery that, okay, I have been struck with whatever she had been struck with, and go more on the down path. You spoke a very good point about the automatic mode versus the executive mode. And again, it is very easy for everyone, I guess, including me, including many people I've seen, to easily slip into the automatic mode. Means it could be that, let's say, if I'm working on the system, and I have some assignment I have to work for the next 1 hour with my full focus. Whereas in the next 5 minutes, I could just switch to a different tab on YouTube, or let's say LinkedIn, or any other tab, or maybe on my phone, or and slip into that mode and keep doing any content which is distracting me from my initial work. And these distractions are so common as of now. How do you help your patients or your students to understand that, okay, this is something which you need to do to take charge, and then how to make them do this activity continuously? Means, okay, one day I would understand, I would realize for today that, okay, I have to be in executive mode, and I be in executive mode for today. But what happens tomorrow? That's like a big problem.
So very interesting. So, you have to also understand, when you are calling yourself as an executive, means the power lies within you. You have the power. You have to get into an action mode, because an executive just simply cannot sit and see, things moving the way they are. He has or she has to be in charge of those actions. So when you decide for yourself that you have to get into that action mode, then automatically, I think you start to structure your life, or you start to structure your certain part of the day. And at that time, you have to trigger that willpower, which all of us have. And because of that, auto mode or lazy mode, we push that willpower aside, and we are like, okay, this is zindagi chal rahi hai, chalne do. But being an executive means you have to have that willpower. You have to bring that discipline in you. And I'm not saying that it should be all the time. I'm saying that for that particular time, you have to trigger that mindfulness in you. So I think this is just the key intention. And when you have that intention, I think then you cannot slip into any other phase. Then your brain, yes, you are signaling your brain, listen, I am planning my day or my hour in such a way. So you better not see, the tendency of the brain would be to slip into that. But again, you have to bring in your willpower, you have to bring in that, action mode so that you can be focused.
Can you share any one tool or tactic which you help them get in the executive mode?
So let's just take an example of eating these days. I see a lot of kids and I see a lot of people these days. There is always something or the other media running in the background while you are eating your food, right? Either we are watching TV or we are watching Netflix or anything. But for me, eating is a very joyous process. And when I tell my clients, when I talk about nutrition, I always tell them that it is not just through your mouth you are eating, it is also through the eyes, it is also through your senses. So for that 20 minutes or 25 minutes when you are sitting with your food, your intention should be that how this food got onto my table. Somebody has done so much effort into, bringing this food on my table. And with every bite, let us just put the right intention into this food, that it is going to provide me nutrition, it is going to help me bring that energy that is needed for the nutrition body to function. So when you sit with that intention, you are not going to distract yourself, and that food is going to do wonders on you, which I have seen when people sit and they also realize, their chewing process becomes slower compared to, when you are mindlessly eating. So a lot of changes. So again, this is one simple example because I focus a lot on nutrition these days and how it has a significant effect on your health and how it can change your body, the physical, mental, and emotional health. But this is just one example. Again, when somebody is doing a yoga practice, and I always tell them, it should be just your personal practice. It is not a competition with the world. It should align with what you want to achieve. It should not align with, my sister can do better than me, or, my friend, she's able to do a headstand, but I am not. So we need to stop thinking about the external factors again. We need to understand that intention should be completely aligned with our goals, not somebody else's goals. So I think that's where the willpower and that's where the patience both have to stick in together.
Yes. So, we definitely will be getting more into nutrition later in the episode. But now, taking a few steps back towards your other set of patients which you meet, and that is connected to autoimmune diseases. So, why do you think are the prime reasons people suffer from these type of diseases?
Harish, very interesting question. And I did a talk on Instagram once with my brother where we talked about, if you see the word autoimmune, it is when your immune system stops recognizing yourself, and it starts to fight against your own body. And most of the times, what I have read, what I have researched on, and what I have understood with the patients that I deal with, they are fighting against their personality. They are not who they really were, or they are not who they wanted to be. And I think in that process, and again, of course, the food also has a very, very major role in impacting autoimmune disorders. But what I feel that it has more of a psychological impact as well, because when you stop identifying yourself, when you really don't know who you as a person are, when your personality becomes like a conflicting personality. You want to be something else, or you want to prove yourself to the world, and you're always trying to fit in, and you're always juggling with your own personality, is when the autoimmune diseases have triggered. So this is my study, or as I'm saying, my interactions with the patients. This is what I have realized. But again, when you start analyzing yourself, and when you start making the right changes, and focusing on what went wrong, how did my personality change, why was I trying to be somebody else when I could be this my original self, uh, things start to change. And of course, nutrition has, again, I am speaking again about it, has a very, very crucial role, because your immune system needs to come back on track, and it needs to stop fighting on every ground that it's fighting. So, and it takes time for this autoimmune to heal, but it is not impossible. And pranayama is again a very, very important thing, which really helps tackle autoimmune disorders.
Can you share one example of a specific disease and how the patient and you have dealt with it?
So let's take an example of arthritis. So generally, arthritis is an age-related disease. When people over 60, over 70, because of calcium deficiency, the bones start to become brittle, and that's when actual osteoarthritis starts. But there are cases of rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And I've seen that happening in younger girls, or women just touching their 20s. And so I would share one case. In fact, I had 3 patients, all 3 women, of rheumatoid arthritis. And I was very surprised. And one case in particular is very closely related to me. And she's a young girl, recently married. She is 24 years old. And what I realized was that she, while growing up, always had, a conflict with her parents. She wanted to be something else, and there was always a fight. Her parents were very resistant towards what she wanted to be. She wanted to be in the side of, fashion and design, but her parents did not allow her to do that. And somehow it was bothering her too much, that why is she not able to achieve that. And sometimes to cover that up, we try to do different things, we try to justify ourselves, and in that process, I think there was, again, the stress must have built up, and the eating habits then change, because you are just craving for, in stressful situations, everybody craves for sweets, or junk eating. And in the entire process, she had lost connect with herself. She didn't really know what she wanted to do at this age of 24. She didn't really know in which direction she wants to head now. So what we did was, we did a lot of counseling sessions. The initial counseling sessions were about, let's understand how your journey was. Let's try to understand what you want right now. It took her a little time to understand. And in that entire process, she also understood that there was something off, that she's not able to connect with herself. There is something, every time she wants to do something, she feels there will be a resistance from her parents or from the society. And so we worked a lot on her personality. We worked a lot on her, on changing or breaking that barrier of, resistance, that no, this is not going to work. You are still free to do what you want. And in that process, we also added nutrition as a major element. We eliminated a lot of things from our diet. We added quite healthier patterns of living, mindful eating, and connecting with yourself, sitting for 15 minutes morning and evening, just being with yourself, and bringing back the hobbies, coming back to that life again. And trust me, Harish, I had seen the aches and pains from her body really going away. The doctors cutting down on the medication, from the strength of the steroids were reduced to half, and then eventually to further half. So now she's on a dosage of just 1/4 of what she used to take. And the doctor, her personal doctor, has even said that probably in coming couple of years, maybe she'll be completely off the medication as well. So, which is good. Somebody who could not even walk for 20 steps now is able to go for walks, runs, do a bit of meditation, do a bit of pranayama, do a bit of yoga practices, and coming back to what she wanted to be. So this is how we bridge the gap of personality and understanding who you really are. And I think that's really important in fixing the autoimmune disorders.
It's very interesting to generally what happens is whatever diseases we connect with, let's say, food, or we connect with, let's say, exercise, movement. But here, what you have, the story which you have just shared, for me, it seems more connected to awareness. And just being aware that, okay, if she just connects with her past life, with what she was living before and how she was living before, she slowly, everything just got connected from there itself. She just realized that, okay, food is important, these types of foods are important, this type of movement is important, meditation is important. And that's very interesting.
Yeah. And I think most times it is just, we disconnecting with our own self. That's when I feel a lot of problems start to surface.
As we know that you're currently in the States, are you also actively working there in this space, or is it like you're there for a short while and then you do your prime work in India?
So, Isha, I very recently moved to the States, and very, very recently. So I'm yet to start my work actively over here. But so far, all my work has been happening in India. My patients are still connected with me, and I'm still, doing nutrition counseling and movement and meditation therapy with my patients from here.
So, have you noted any similarities or differences from patients in India or in States? And I'm asking in the perspective of, let's say, seeing the number of cancer patients, like how high do you see, or what age groups do you identify them with?
I think the similarity lies in that in the US also, the age bracket from 30 to 35, 30, 35 till 60, 65. That window, that has a lot of cancer patients, this age bracket. And we saw a similar pattern in India as well. But what I feel is in the US, I see a lot of women have breast cancer. Again, it has something to do with the genetics also. Breast cancer is something which can be passed on from your grandparents, your grandmom, to maybe your mom will not get it, but you might get it. And then if you're not getting it, then your next generation might. So it's a little tricky. But again, what I've seen is the lifestyle. In India, if you see, India has become very globalized. It has become very westernized. And the eating patterns had changed over the last 15 years in India, 15, 20 years. And it's the same kind of diet that has come from the States, sugar replacements with corn syrup and alternate things, and reducing the fat in the diet, and then increased sodium in the diet, and adding all the preservatives. And those are the triggers which are, of course, one of the factors which leads to, the cancer genes, like activation of the cancer genes, along with a very stressful lifestyle. As I'm saying, I was not used to working for 13, 14 hours in front of the laptop, and which has become kind of a trend in India, which is similar in the States as well. So I think a lot of similarities in terms of lifestyle have come from the US to India, because people in India have been really influenced by the Western culture. So this is one area which I feel needs to be worked upon, changing the lifestyle and coming back to our roots. But the trend is the same.
I have noticed this pattern, and this is when I was on a very short trip to US. And since I was on a very short trip, I had to take a lot of Uber rides. And
Hmm.
nearly every third driver, whoever I met, had like this big, like a jar of soda next to the seat.
Oh my God.
And I wondered that, okay, and this is like, I used to think that maybe it could be water, but slowly after a few days, I realized that everyone has soda as water itself. It's either
Goodness.
soda that big or it's like ice filled this much with little bit of water. And I
Water.
thought that, okay, this is one of the biggest reasons why there are so many lifestyle issues happening there.
Health disorders, absolutely. Yeah, when you are drinking such cold water all the time, and soda, everybody knows. I mean, it's not something hidden. It's out there, the facts about drinking soda. But I think it's so cheap and it's readily available, and then when you add chemicals, your brain starts. We were talking the other day, my family over here, we were talking about how sugar is worse than cocaine,
Mm.
because it's even more addictive. Once you start consuming sugar, your brain gets into that loop of, yes, I want more, I want more, I want more. And that's how this is the entire industry, which is the food industry, just targeting that and making products which make our generation addictive to uh, these bad eating patterns. This is how they're selling in the market. So I think we need to break that trend, and we need to now people are becoming more educated and they're coming back to the roots, which is very great. But again, accessibility to those good quality foods, it seems that it becomes so expensive, because now that has become like a trend. You need to eat organic, or you need to eat superfoods, or you need to eat health stuff which is gluten free and which is this free, that free, and anything which is it sounds like more fancy than it should be. So I think there are a lot of loopholes in the food industry which need to be fixed, but can't do much about it in that area right now.
That's true. There have been a lot of industry lobbyists which have been working in their own ways to promote specific kinds of products. So let's say how you mentioned about sodas, then there is a separate breakfast industry, or there is a separate other industry which is just hampering on their own science to prove that these things, what we are saying is right, where and whatever you're following is wrong. And then we, again, the consumer gets sucked into it.
Absolutely. And these days, consumer is always looking for something new, right? So anything that's trending, they will always go towards that, just because everybody else is following it. So
So now speaking about nutrition and food, uh,
yeah,
what are the food items which you recommend your patients to have as they start the day?
as they start their day. Okay. So I would say, do not start your day with a very processed food. I'm always recommending people to have, sprouts during the day, or something which is more wholesome. Like, you can have a nice smoothie or yogurt with fruits, or people who eat eggs. I do not stop anybody from, eating what they like, but it has to be in a very balanced proportion. So I always recommend them having foods which are more alkaline in nature, rather than going for more processed foods. And that is how I recommend them, like, focus more on vegetables and soups and fruits. This is how your day should be, rather than jumping on to more carbs, which is very Indian thing, subah subah parathe kha lo. That's how our parents always want. So breaking those patterns, eating more fiber-rich diet, and always there should be a portion of, what I believe is there should always be a portion of little bit of vegetables on the side, and small portion of carbs, decent portion of protein, so that your body works, because your muscles need energy, and for your muscles protein is a major source of, it's a building block, right? And for your brain you need, and for your bodily functions you need energy, and that energy source comes from right fat and carbs. So I'm not saying miss out on anything. All I always tell them is have a balanced portion of all the three things. Uh, and when you start your day, make sure you are alkalizing the body. So have lukewarm water with a bit of lemon, or have lukewarm water with amla juice. Or some people who are not willing to have amla or lemon juice have, like, I saw you also having water in the copper uh, glass, right? So this is a very detoxifying way to have water. You consume it, and your entire system in that time is taking up the right ions and eliminating the toxins from the body. So just bringing in small practices can really help you go in a longer run in a better way. Your body can function in a better way. So as a nutrition coach, or as a holistic nutritionist, I would say I recommend people to go for wholesome foods, more lively foods, which will add energy to their body rather than drain them out. So that's the key.
So, given that we're speaking about nutrition and specifically nutrients, as you mentioned, that how we need to distribute the macronutrients, also to ensure that we also have the micronutrients. Which specific nutrients have you seen is like the most missing component in patients? Have you observed any one or two nutrients?
So these days, I think everybody is very low on vitamin D. That is very obvious these days, because we do not step out in the sun as much, and barely people go out for walks out in the sun or in the morning. I only see people like our parents of our age. They are the only ones stepping out in the morning for walks. But you and I probably would go hit the gym, run on a treadmill, and we avoid going out in the sun because of this. Everybody's scared of a suntan or whatever reason. But vitamin D is definitely deficient in the patients. And I have also seen potassium. I feel, because our diets these days are so high in sodium, potassium really needs to be rich. Our body needs to have rich sources of potassium to consume. Also, another reason I feel potassium is essential, because sodium and potassium work in harmony. And how potassium is important is it's really great for muscles. It really eases the muscle contraction. It is great for the heart patients, because it makes sure that your heart is beating in the right rhythm. Sodium, on the other hand, works in a completely opposite direction. So when both of these come together, it is when the exchange of ions within the cell work better. But because of high sodium diet these days, the significance of potassium or the intake of potassium is like barely nothing. So I think potassium is really important, which people need to think of, while consuming the diet. They need to make sure they have it, and vitamin D. But for women, I feel iron deficiency is major these days, and folic acid. And that's why a lot of women have PCOS, PCOD, and infertility issues. It's all because of, the diet lifestyle changes and not consuming enough iron from the natural sources. Yeah. So I think vitamin D, potassium what I have learned from the patients and over the years, and for women, iron.
And potassium, what you are saying from potassium is that it should be in harmony with sodium, right? It shouldn't be like sodium is way high and potassium very low, and then you have a set of problems.
Yeah, if sodium is too high and potassium is really low, then it causes a lot of havoc to the body. Muscles, your nervous health, your cardiovascular health, all goes for a toss. Because what sodium is going to do is going to constrict the muscles, constrict the blood flow. It is so, for the right exchange of sodium and potassium. See, sodium is essential for the neural signaling, for the neurons to give the signal to the brain that, hey, this is happening right now and you need to react in this way right now. But अगर आपका sodium और potassium disbalance हो जाता है, so that's when a lot of that muscle constriction or that nerve impairment, those things start to happen. So potassium and sodium need to have a good balance in your diet. So I'm emphasizing more on potassium because sodium though we get from multiple sources. You eat a bag of chips, your sodium for 2 days or 3 days is done. It has that much sodium. But to make sure that potassium is there in your diet so that your muscles are functioning properly, you're getting the right oxygen in the body, your nervous health is in a proper form, in a proper shape. So potassium is really important.
So now coming to you, I'm asking you the same food question, but what foods do you completely avoid?
Very interesting question. I try not to eat packaged foods. I am so against them. Like you would not see me with a bag of chips, and I genuinely do not like them. And I think over the years, because of eating healthier, my palate does not even allow me to eat something which is out of a bag, which is already pre-packaged. And I have tried and it just puts me off. And this is one thing that I completely avoid. And anything that is too sugary does not go with me, does not. And I would, because sugar again, if you have made a lifestyle where you are eating well and your body is really enjoying what you are doing and what you're eating, and suddenly you eat something so high in sugar, your body will literally not like it. If there are two things and somebody will tell me to taste and try, and I do not know which is processed and which is natural, my palate will tell me. And I've tried that. If I taste something, sometimes I'll completely reject it because it does not go well with how my system would want it to work. And so what I completely is off my list is too much salt, too much sugar, anything that is processed and packaged, and anything which has a lot of preservatives. I always like to read labels, and anything which says 2 main ingredients and rest 5 preservatives or जो भी chemicals डालते हैं, e-preservatives or INS or whatever. So if I see more of those and less of the main ingredients, I would not buy that. So that is my trick. And what I try to do is try to eat fruits and vegetables and life-giving foods more compared to, grabbing something which is easy and quick to make.
Yes, that is a very good tip for our listeners, that to identify food products which start with, let's say, the E initial. It could be E1, 2, 3 or E4, 5, 6, whatever, or INS.
Yeah.
These are a few markers which would make you, which should give you a signal that to be away from these kind of packages.
Absolutely. And the beautiful thing about understanding nutrition is a normal food would have a lesser shelf life compared to, something which is kept for days and days and not going bad. There is something in it that is not letting it rot. And imagine what that chemical or how strong that chemical or preservative would be that it is not letting it deteriorate, right? In the normal form, in a natural form, the foods, they do not last forever. So I think that is another trick you need to understand, that try to eat something which is more aligned to the universe, to your own system as well.
As well as what ingredients you can actually identify.
So true.
So let's say if you have limited time in your day? Let's say if you're traveling,
Yeah.
do you fit in any short 10-minute practice that you make sure to do it on that day? It could be pranayam, it could be any asanas, but any specific thing.
So I would say a bit of stretches. Maybe you can say 5 to 7 minutes of stretches, or maybe a couple of rounds of Surya Namaskar, which will really open the body up. And then I would really want to do pranayam like Bhastrika or Kapal Bhati, and then Anulom Vilom, to just, energizing breath and then a relaxing breath. And that's the 20 minutes, 25 minutes are done, and you are set for the day.
Yes, I myself give most of the credit to Surya Namaskars. It has been like a boon uh, since I've discovered, but actually practiced it, and to realize its benefits after doing it, it's such a blessing.
Yeah, and the beauty of Surya Namaskar is that it has 12 asanas in just one round of Surya Namaskar, right? So apart from just the side bends, everything else is there. You build your shoulder strength, you build your leg strength, you build your glutes, you build your core, everything. So that's the beauty of Surya Namaskar. And I think if you do just a few rounds of it, your entire body is ready for, it's just flowing with energy after Surya Namaskars.
That's true. I totally understand that. Now, speaking about the current COVID situation and how bad it has gone, especially in India, there have been a lot of videos of pranayam which have been popping out, and everyone is highlighting one set of pranayam. It could be Bastrika, it could be Nadi Shuddhi. Whereas Baba Ramdev has been like promoting Anulom Vilom or Kapal Bharti since many years. So,
Yes.
which specific pranayam would you recommend to someone who could do it comfortably? It could be that they are in their 60s, or it could be that, let's say, they are a heart patient. Any one pranayam which you feel is very comfortable to do?
Harish, I feel Anulom Vilom is one pranayam which everybody without any medical conditions or with any medical conditions can do it, because it does not come with restrictions. Because if you see in the case of Kapal Bhati or Bhastrika, anybody who has a high blood pressure, people, we would not recommend it to them. So, but if you see Anulom Vilom is a simple practice, which we also call it as alternate nostril breathing. Is a simple practice where you start breathing from the left, you hold the breath and release it on the right, and then again inhale on the right. But then Nadi Shuddhi is a little higher, I would say an advanced practice of Anulom Vilom. So again, not recommending that, because again, certain practices should be done under the guidance of a proper teacher. I'm not, I would not want to say Baba Ramdev is right or wrong or whatever he is broadcasting for the entire population of India. It benefits a lot, but it might also do harm to somebody who is not listening to him properly or who has not been following him. Because sometimes we are in the mode of selective listening, and we might just listen to him and think, oh, a Kapalbhati, oh, it just, boosts metabolism. It's good for burning fat. And without understanding the consequences, we just want to jump onto it. So I would say a harmless practice is Anulom Vilom, which is alternate nostril breathing. You simply breathe on the left and close the left nostril and exhale on the right, and then inhale on the right and then exhale on the left. So that's how one cycle is done. So that is a simple practice which everybody, regardless of age or any, past medical condition, can do.
Yes, that is something which I too have observed, and especially even with my mother, she is a heart patient, and she is more comfortable with Anulom Vilom than Kapal Bharti.
Yeah.
So, Isha, we've just come to the end of our show. What message would you like to share with everyone?
I would like to share a message which I always say that, align yourself with the universe. And a lot of people might think, what does it really mean to align yourself with the universe? You have to focus on your well-being first, and that is the key thing. Think of things like what entertains you, what is your hobby. Invest your energy in those. Invest your energy in right eating. Invest in your health. That is the real investment. So what I would like to say to the people is, this is one body, one life that you have got. So try to make it as healthy and as beautiful as you can. That is the message. And when I say align yourself with the universe, means you have to be in sync with the outer universe and your internal universe. And once you start understanding your body, you start to tune yourself accordingly. So good health and good wishes to all, I would say, and hoping that this COVID situation also gets better as we progress in the coming months.
Yes, as the saying goes, health is wealth, and that spans through very much, especially since the last year.
Yes. And these are unprecedented times. We really don't know how to, fix it. It's hard to speak on that topic because I think I'll get really emotional because of the condition that I've seen in India. But what I'm saying is, everybody, make sure you are taking out time for yourself. 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the morning, in the evening. It is not too hard. Once you make it as, your lifestyle, you will see what magic it does. I'm speaking from personal experience. So it's beautiful to focus on your health. It's beautiful to focus on your physical health, mental health, emotional well-being, and invest in yourself. That's the best thing you can do.
Invest in yourself. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Isha, for coming on the Yoga Conversations podcast. It was great having you. Now, where can everyone find you on the internet?
Thank you, Arish, for having me. People can find me on Instagram. I'm quite active on Instagram for last 1 month because of the move I had to from Delhi to the US. I have been a little slow, but I'll pick up again. But Instagram, Isha Lall Yoga is where you can find me. And simultaneously, I keep posting the similar stuff on Facebook. But these are the two channels where I'm really active. Instagram, definitely. I respond to the messages. I respond to the queries also over there. And I do post a lot of nutritional posts on that channel. So anybody who's looking to talk and understand more about nutrition and overall health, do catch me on Isha Lall Yoga on Instagram.
Definitely. We'll make sure to have the Insta handle in our show notes. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing all your information. And again, this is for our listeners. Please do watch and share and subscribe our episodes. And again, you can even connect with Isha. We'll also help you connect with her on any specific queries that you'd like to know.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Harish.
Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful.